مصلحا ومجددا فارنوا بنظر طاهر وجنان.
So if you want to introduce yourself briefly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Muslim, alhamdulillah. And to your question, not Ahmadi, if you're categorizing at that level. But again, just if I could just really quickly comment on something that I heard during the stream, and this is just, in good faith. To begin with, I'm going to preface by saying I don't believe you did it with clarity of, listening to the streamer and then responding. I'm going to just assume, because that's how it felt. It was at a point at the beginning of the stream when you started. And I'm critiquing this as a streamer refuting another streamer mistake that can happen to anybody, not as a theological flaw that you try to point out incorrectly. And we can get to other things. But I want to just preface and start the conversation with this. There was a point when you were presenting Brother Muslim Lantern's speech where he said, he was quoting you guys, actually. He was stating your claim, or the claim of the Ahmadi people, when they used the term non-Ahmadi. And I went back and watched it just to be sure that I was not trying to misquote you or misquote him. He just said this little piece where he said, when they say non-Ahmadi, they mean the 2 billion other people.
Yeah.
He didn't even say the word Muslim, by whatever wisdom of Allah. He just said people. And then you write off positive. I'm saying this is out of when you a streamer refutes another streamer, the excitement to kind of catch every sentence possible happens, and I'm gonna keep it there. I'm not gonna say you kind of with bad intention did it, or you kind of misquoted him or anything. But you jumped on him right away. You said this is another lie, and that's how you started. So I just wanna
let me explain what I said, and if you wanna respond to me, if I'm wrong, brother, I have no issue of saying I'm wrong. And I will take my word back. But what I was saying, Brother Ahmed, what I was saying is that it's not Ahmadi and non-Ahmadi, because Muslim Lantern kept saying we 2 billion Muslims. But
no, this is where I don't want to get you back to where when he and we were playing his stream, so his words can be changed. What you said was in response. He clearly said those words, and before I even joined, I went back, and I just wanted to make this as a correction because I don't want it to seem like you. I don't want somebody to else come and say you were lying upon him, because I don't feel like you were lying upon him. I feel you were responding, and in the excitement to respond with good intention, you didn't take his words as they were, and I'm just holding him to his words because his words are recorded already, and our words are still.
No, if I made a mistake there, I accept.
That's what I'm trying to I don't mean to interrupt your response also to this, but he literally said this, and we can go back and watch it.
I do stand by my point, Brother Ahmed, and Jazakallah for being really respectful. We love when brothers like you come here. No, I still stand by my words that it's not 2 billion Muslims according to the Wahhabi firqa, and you would know that very well. According
but
to
your words were in response to him saying the Ahmadis claim the non-Ahmadis are the 2 billion people.
But you don't claim that either, though.
No, but when you address somebody as non-Ahmadi, you're calling the other people who claim to be Muslims as non-Ahmadis. That's what he was exactly saying. And there's no other
if I made a mistake there, I accept my mistake.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. And you can go back and watch it. I'm not trying to hold you to the spot.
No, Jazakallah. It's good that we be corrected as well. But my point remains that it's not 2 billion. You get my point on that.
I get the point where it's still sectarian 2 billion. And when you guys say Ahmadis, I also believe that you guys take yourself as another sect of the Islamic, ummah, if you want to call it. And then, but I also understand. So if you want to understand how I understand the position of anybody else who makes that point, right? I feel like, and I don't know if there's other firqas that I can think of in my head right now, and I'm addressing you guys as a firqa, not to just to kind of keep that concept clear that we're all kind of sectarian in that sense. But when and I'm going to keep myself in the non-Ahmadi Muslim category for that description, right? When non-Ahmadi Muslims are addressing Ahmadi Muslims, I guess the extent of excommunication, as you call it, the extent of takfir is unanimous, right? And this is where my understanding comes from. I'm not trying to say this is the fact, but at a scholarly level, at an academic level, the excommunication is unanimous, in my opinion. And
but that's not true either, Ahmed. You know why?
Sure.
Because look, Abdul Majid Daryabadi is a big scholar of the Deoband. He never did takfir of Ahmadi Muslims. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad didn't do our takfir. Even people like Sanaullah Amritsari accepted that Ahmadi Muslims are a part of the groups in Islam. Sanaullah Amritsari went to that extent. Not only him, if you look at Ahmad Raza Khan, if you look at the books of his followers, in their Quranic tarjumas, they have clearly said that Ahmadi Muslims are siyasi Musliman. And that's what they believe about every other firqa. So according to Barelviyat, true Islam is Barelviyat, and their takfir is unanimous of Deobandis Ahl Hadith as well. And if you go to the Ahl Hadith ulama, their takfir is unanimous of the Barelvis and Deobandis as well. Look at Zubair Ali Zaisab's book Biddati ke Piche Namaz. He says Deobandis are not Ahlul Sunnah, they're mushrikeen and they have kufriya beliefs. And Tosif Rahman said Deobandis are worse mushrik than Barelvis. So every sect does takfir of the other, and it's not unanimous. Yes, in 1974 they came together, but that too, there was always ulama who differed with that. But it was the taqdeer of Allah to fulfill that prophecy that 72 sects who we believe are the kulluhum finnar groups, they came together to do our takfir. But this doesn't mean every scholar of every century believed were kuffar. Before 1974, many, like Allama Iqbal, proposed the name of Khalifa Sani for many things, to lead them. So it wasn't the way you're portraying it as unanimous. That's actually not the case, brother.
No, I still would, again, in terms of expression, maybe I'm gonna not be as eloquent as I want to be, but in terms of unanimity, right? Even today, so it's a matter of
majority, right?
Majority. I would still say in the opposition, if you're still keeping them as Ahmadi versus non-Ahmadi, I genuinely believe that the whole non-Ahmadi body of that you consider as Ahmadis today, I don't think one person at a scholarly or a layman level would come after knowing, and whatever scholars you quoted, and I heard you quote Allama Iqbal too. I know his understanding also transformed over time. So I'm talking about the completed creed that exists today of the Ahmadi faith and what they believe in, and it has come to knowledge. If those things have come to knowledge, like I also know Shias have certain beliefs that are.
Who knew Jamaat more than Sanaullah Amritsar in his time? According to the opponents, he was the biggest opponent. Not only him, Muhammad Hussain Batalvi, near the end of his age, he accepted that I believe them to be among the 73 groups. That's two opponents for you. And Abdul Majid Daryabadi, my friend, he's not a small scholar. Taqi Usmani said in his book, writes that Abdul Majid Daryabadi stayed firm on not takfiring Ahmadi Muslims till his last breath. So that breaks the unanimous claim, right?
No, but it's for that time. I'm talking about people today, right? Today,
we're of today's ulama.
Yeah, and I'm giving credit to those ulamas for being hesitant or being safe. Because their words would be the last word and they would have to depart with their words. So if they, at their analysis, at their understanding, came to a certain conclusion, somebody called somebody a siyasi Muslim, somebody called somebody a deviant sect, somebody let them be called a Muslim, but still did not acknowledge their aqidah. This is all signs for me that they weren't in line with the aqidah of whatever the time and age was.
So brother, what sect are you from, if you want to share with us?
I follow the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I hold the Quran, the Sahih Hadith books above myself, and in terms of interpretation, because I'm a non-Arab, I rely upon tafasir.
Yes. So when you say Ahlus Sunnah wal Jamaat, Deobandi say this, Barelvi say this, and Ahl Hadith say this.
All of these terms, like I said, I'm going to keep myself at that level of laymanship. I do not subscribe to any of these extra terms. I genuinely stay at the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah level because for me it's easier access. For me, I don't have access to all the scholars of the Barelvi or the Deoband. I hear your perspective. I get some nuggets from there, and I see how I can align that with my knowledge of the Quran and the Hadith. And if something does not sit well, I know it's not compulsory for me to absorb that into my aqidah for salvation. I try to learn from people who are more learned than me. But I've never found anything of knowledge from any other of these labels that has made me like, oh, I am this today.
Okay, can you tell me this? Is your Ahlus Sunnah the Ahlus Sunnah you follow, right? I'm going to make it simple for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you 3 simple questions. Number 1, in your version of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is Allah only up or does he have no location and he's everywhere?
To questions like those, especially about Allah, I return it back to Allah. Allah is wherever he's described himself to be, and if he's not described himself to be anywhere, then that's not for me to question anymore. Whatever knowledge Allah has given to me about himself is sufficient.
So do you believe Allah is on
Can you
earth?
give me a reference on that question from the Quran or the Hadith, and then explain your understanding, and I can tell you if I agree with it.
So basically, the reason I'm asking you is because there's a difference amongst the authorities.
No, I will say this to that. And then again, this is where I'll keep myself at a laymanship level, right?
Okay, so you won't ask this. Okay, let me make it easier for you.
Yeah,
Can
can I
you
respond? Like, I
tell
just wanted
me?
to say something because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
also feel first. I also feel first that I wanted to stay to the review of the stream of Muslim Lantern. I had more questions there, and I thought that was the topic
sure.
I'm joining in on. But I'm not trying to like. I don't mean that you digressed on purpose, but just because you
Yeah,
asked
yeah.
that
No,
question.
the reason, Ahmed Bhai, I ask you
Yeah,
is because when you ask these questions, I want to connect with you. I don't
I
want to be
understand,
quoting
and that's why
Shia
that's why
standards.
that's why I responded by saying that I do not by knowledge know the
Okay,
positional reference of Allah from the Quran and the Hadith. But if you have a verse that you want me to review with you and understand or come to a
yeah.
common understanding, I'm open to that. But for me, when you ask me a question about Allah, especially, it's the knowledge of the ghaib and only Allah reveals it.
Okay, no
And
worries.
yeah,
Can you
that's why.
tell me this before you ask
Can
your
you come back to the
question?
stream of Muslim matter? And I had a few questions there. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
again,
sure. You
we can
can
get
ask.
back to something that happens
Sure,
organically through that. But I feel
sure.
like we're just coming off a different subject, and
Sure,
I thought,
you can ask, brother,
yeah.
please.
So I particularly felt resonated, I would say, with, and I know that there's a contention when the word khatam is used versus the word khatim is used, right? And again, I'm a non-Arab, so I depend on a real scholar of sincerity that is relaying the information correctly to me, right? So that is a dependency that Allah's created for me. And inshallah, I want to educate myself to the point that I can understand these things better. That's my pursuit. Talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli Muslim. So I have to get there. So I can always outsource my knowledge to people who understand Arabic better, right? So, but so far, what I've understood, and even when you were reviewing that part of the stream, I kind of did not see you like kind of contradicting what he said. So as far as khatam goes, I see there's contention. I see there's interpretations that happen. The seal is still, in my understanding, the seal also kind of tells it's closing something. Nothing has to enter, nothing can be taken out. I still get it that way, but okay, I'll keep that word aside. When I hear the word khatim, though, I have unanimously heard that it means the last, and the last of something. And when you say khatim al nabiyyin, it means the last of prophets. So I want to understand what's your opposition to the understanding of the word last is.
That's a really beautiful question, Ahmed.
Yeah.
But firstly, when you say that seal is closing something, nothing entering, nothing coming out. This is a beautiful example many Muslims give, but it's actually contradictory to your beliefs. When you're thinking of seal, you're thinking of an envelope or a package closing. And you said beautifully, nothing enters, nothing comes out. But think about it for a moment. Khatam al-Nabiyyin, let's think of an envelope. It's closed. In the envelope, an-Nabiyyin, all of the Anbiya. Nothing comes in, nothing comes out. Hazrat Isa is in the envelope according to your belief. Because
No,
here,
no, I think that's not how I'm saying it. So when I say
just
it's
allow me to finish, brother,
yeah,
because I
okay,
know what you're saying.
okay,
Because we've heard this a million times that something closing completely, you will use the words nothing enters, nothing comes out. But Hazrat Isa is also in that group of Anbiya. If it's completely closed, he cannot come out. So this is not the word khatam seal. You're thinking of the English seal. If you look at Sahih al-Bukhari, this khatam, the Sahaba said the Prophet ﷺ should have a khatam. It's used for authentication and testifying, not to close something completely. This is the answer to your first question. Brother, in the future, I think it's going to help us both. You ask one question, I quickly respond, then second question, because I don't want to make you wait too long.
yeah,
As for khatim, the
yeah,
point you said that I believe it's unanimously last of something, this is also not correct. If you look at early Arabic literature, many people are called khatim of something, and it's not last in every sense. Yes, there's a hint of it, which I'll explain quickly. But for example, in Al-Itqan, one of the most famous books of the Quran and on Qiraat, Hazrat Jalaluddin Suyuti Rahmullah, on the cover is called Khatimatul Huffaz with the kasra on the ta. It doesn't mean he was the last hafiz of Quran. What they say is, they say that all excellences of hifz finished in him, meaning he was the best of the huffaz for his time. This is what khatim means. So khatim is seal. Khatim is the one who seals. In one way, it means end, in the sense that the Prophet ﷺ ended all the sharias before him. It doesn't mean he is the last in every sense of the word, the way some portray that now no one, no matter what happens, can come, because everyone awaits Hazrat Isa ﷺ to come after him as a Nabi and Ummah, except obviously those who reject those hadith.
yeah. I think to the first question, it was not really a question. I was just kind of telling how there's a mutual understanding, and I understand it that way. My understanding is not binding up on anybody. But even to that, when we do analogies, right, it's not like you can go and break down the analogy more than what I said about it. Like I know you gave an example of somebody's inside, somebody can't come out, but that's not how I meant it. I meant it in conjunction with the word an-nabiyyin. So if somebody is a khatam an-nabiyyin, somebody is a seal on the prophets or the title of prophethood, there's no more people getting that title no more, and nobody else is taken out of that titlehood. And in that sense, that's how I reconcile my understanding, right? If the titlehood of prophethood or the title of prophethood is sealed, nobody's getting it anymore. Nobody who already has it will be stripped away from it. Isa alayhi salam coming back is reconciliatory for me, in my belief. And I'm not debating that, because for me, it's at that point, it's a shubhat that is being created. For me, I have a reconciliation that is solid and it's logical and rational. And I also say this on behalf of, I understand this on behalf of the Muslim. I don't know if, as you must know, is super into da'wah in terms of inviting people like Christians and atheists and people outside of Islam altogether to Islam. Yeah. And this understanding I observe, and this is for me more rational than anything, like the population observation, where I see so many people become Muslims today, and they are introduced to the same concept of Isa alayhi salam being an existing prophet, and then them giving the narrative of him coming in the future times. They understand that, and nobody has that shubhat at a fitra level. Let me finish. At a fitra level, this shubhat doesn't exist, and the same for me. At a fitra level, my fitra, my natural intellect that Allah has given me, I am able to reconcile. Titlehood is given, the same person is coming back. Titlehood cannot be taken away. His role, moreover, is of a hakam al-adl. He's going to come to execute. He's going to be a king. He's going to be a ruler in that capacity. Is he going to function as a prophet? I'm not going to go into that discussion. But will he be the prophet of Allah as he was? Yes, he's always going to be a prophet of Allah. You can't strip him of his title. I feel like that's where the fitrah is okay with it. But if you critique that from a position where, all of those things that you just said, it's for me to create some shubha into my fitrah.
Firstly, brother, you mentioned a few points. Number one, when you say that you meant conjunction on seal of prophets, Khatme Nabuwat means the seal of all prophets. It doesn't mean that no more people will carry the title. Old ones can come. No one can take it. This is your ta'wil.
But that's because you did ta'wil of what I said.
Allow me to finish, brother. Because
I wasn't done either, brother Razi. I wasn't even done. So you kind of came in. So I'm just kind of.
Okay, you can continue.
No, I'm thinking it's okay. We can do it as an organic discussion. I don't have to have my term. If you feel something needs to be said.
You mentioned 50 things, like I mentioned, then it's hard for me to.
If I say something that seems problematic to build on, you can come in right there.
What if we take 2 minutes each?
I mean, I don't want to do that format thing because I'm organically discussing with you. I prefer that. And to that point that you were trying to pause me on is the conjunction part. Khatam an-Nabiyyin, I'm taking that whole sentence together. What about that? I said that you had something to say about. You can start there.
Yeah, so Khatam, the seal of the prophets. It doesn't say old ones can come, new ones can come. The Prophet ﷺ is seal of all the prophets. If you say old Anbiya can come back, you need to give a dalil from
that. You take from that statement.
Finish, my dear brother. I'm not.
Yeah, I thought we're doing organically. That's why I'm going back and forth with you.
Yeah, but this you mentioned that I have to still respond to, right? I'll be quick. I don't like taking long, right?
No worries, go on.
That's the first thing. Khatam an-Nabiyyin, you can't make an exception for old ones. It's of all prophets, he's the seal. Right? If you say it's closed, no one can come in, no one can come out, which was your original claim, then I'm sorry, you cannot accept Nuzul al-Masih. As for your claim that my fitra goes with this, that Isa alayhi can come back because he's an old prophet, my brother, my fitra doesn't. So whose fitra is right? It's going to be the one which is in line with Quran and Sunnah. And the Quran is explicit that Hazrat Isa alayhi died and will never return. So that's why my fitra can't go with yours. And the last thing you said, and I'll quickly end on this, is you said, will he function as a prophet? I don't want to get into that. That's the most important discussion. Because one who says Isa alayhi is coming as a dysfunctional prophet, and he's in a coma and he's non-functional, that is stripping him of his prophet. That's like me saying, this person, he's a doctor, but he can't be a doctor. He doesn't have the qualities of a doctor anymore. Then he's not a doctor, my friend. So Hazrat Isa alayhi, if he's a Nabi, the Quran is clear. وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. He is a Nabi wherever he is. A Nabi is one who functions as a Nabi. Anbiya cannot retire. The Prophet ﷺ, till his last breath, he was a Nabi. And he's a Nabi today. He's a Nabi in the Yawm al-Qiyamah. He's always a Nabi. So to say you don't want to get into the concept, will he be functioning as a Nabi? My friend, if you're a Nabi, you're always going to function as a Nabi. There's no concept of a Nabi who is dysfunctional, na'udhu billah. So we don't agree with you on that.
No, I think it's not an agreement thing. I say some words and you throw in more words than I said right now, even the dysfunctional part. I already said I don't want to get into that debate because it could get more technical and I'm not as learned as I should be to take that topic. That was the only reason. But even to those things that you said, you kind of digress from what I was saying. And I'm going to start from there and go backwards, I guess, in terms of what we just spoke about. But when I say he's going to, and it's not a problem. If a doctor is given a role of in a war, if he's given the role of a soldier, then he's going to fight as a soldier. And if there's nobody to cure, he's not going to heal or cure anybody. If he passes away, it's about a title. It's not about function. I'm not debating function here.
But my brother, that was just an example. For
yeah, and I'm addressing your example also because
a Nabi with a soldier.
The reason for your example was to portray that I'm bringing him down somehow. I'm telling you, a doctor in a situation.
Say a Nabi is not functioning as a Nabi, my brother, in Islam.
I did not say that. I literally said, I'll repeat my words and we can go back and look at it. I literally said about his function as a prophet. I don't want to discuss that. That's literally what I said.
But it's
I'm not saying
clear point that
you built on that. You built on my word by saying.
It's like me saying a Nabi will come. Will he get wahi or not? I don't want to discuss
Brother Razi.
Like that's a strange claim, my friend.
No, I see. My words they're still on the record. I said about his functionality as a prophet. I don't want to go into it. You took my words and you built on it. Wait, you built on it by saying this is the most important thing you should talk about.
It is.
And you said what you said, and I'm responding to what you said.
So why can't you just say he will function as a Nabi?
I'm still responding and clarifying to what you tried to interpret from something I never said. I literally said I don't want to go there. You took me there, and I'm responding to what you said.
Though, right?
No,
I don't want to go.
I even clarified, brother. So why do you want to engage with a person who's claiming his ignorance on a subject and he's worried about the technicalities?
This is the exact problem.
It's not a salvation. Brother, for me, where I'm standing, I'll ask you this question, simple as that.
Yeah.
At my position, and I'm claiming laymanship, right? At my position to know exactly the functionality of Isa alayhi salam, is it contingent for my salvation in the akhirah? Is it something that will take away my akhirah from me?
Yes, it will. It will.
No, not knowing, not holding a position today.
Let me explain, okay?
Okay.
But
that's a yes. You're saying that's a yes.
When you say Isa alayhi salam is coming, will he function as a prophet or not? I don't want to get into that. That is the biggest issue.
But that's my question right now. Is it a problem for my salvation?
Yes, it is, brother. Because Imam Sayyid says, Amma nafi nuzulihi aw nafi nabuwa aw salaba nabuwa anhu. If you take away that an-nabuwa from Isa alayhi salam, whether you do it with the words he's not a prophet, whether I do it with the words he won't get wahi or that he won't function as a nabi, he says this is kufr. Salaba bi nabuwatihi, you can do it in different ways. I can say he will be a soldier, he will be hakamat not a nabi. This is clear-cut kufr according to Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So it does affect your
brother Razi, we're both speaking, and I'm not saying this with disrespect. I'm asking a question and you're answering it, but you're also taking portions out of my question. I asked the question directly. The knowledge of it. I'm not negating anything. Did I negate prophet or did I negate functionality?
Yeah,
I did not. Negation has it. Brother, let me say something. I haven't negated anything yet. I'm literally holding the position of ignorance. I'm asking the question back, and please respond to the question completely.
If you're ignorant about it, nothing is an issue then.
Salvation-wise, it's not an issue. So we don't have to
No, but nothing is, my brother. Even if you're ignorant of la ilaha illallah and you just believe.
I'm not though. Like this is where
it's still
the question is something
bil jahl will be used on everything.
Brother, I feel we're more cognizant in terms of what we're saying, but we're taking the conversation. I'm not ignorant of.
If you're ignorant of it, you won't.
No, I'm not ignorant of la ilaha. So we don't have to take that example.
No, you are according to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab.
No, it's okay. See, now you're just taking words and you're trying to jump into something else. Let's come back to the topic.
No, I'm actually being honest with you. Like Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, Allah taught him la ilaha illallah, right?
I don't know about that. I don't have to know about that.
I'll show you.
I don't want to know about that even. What
That's the problem. So even that, if you're ignorant,
we have a subject.
Safe.
I feel like we have a subject and we're not at the subject anymore, and we're so far off. We're about to read Muhammad Abdul Wahhab and what he means about la ilaha illallah. How is that a subject?
Yeah, because you're using udhr bil jahl. I'm telling you can use that for anything.
Picks up. No,
Brother, Barelvis will say on Qiyamah, oh Allah, we didn't know that Tawheed meant you can.
But this is where I feel like it's shubahat. It's like you're taking the conversation out from something that we both were understanding and we were upon.
I don't agree, but you can ask your next question. No worries.
We were throwing to what we were talking. So again, I was taking that back to what I was initially saying and how I feel like you took a part of it and didn't take the whole thing. When Khatme Nabuwat, whichever version you want to take it, when I look at that, I am thinking of the title of prophethood. If somebody is given the title of prophethood from Allah, we're not talking about timelines of when they came or when they can come again. None of that is being told there. Anybody who wants to do that for me is genuinely doing ta'wil. That verse, those terms, and in both of those variations of the recitation, they are not talking anything about somebody coming, somebody going, somebody returning. None of that is being discussed there. It's just talking about the title of prophethood, and that's where I reconcile it with my fitrah. I'm not contesting your fitrah versus mine. That's not my point. Let me finish. I'm still on the same subject. Yeah. Let me finish. So when it comes to title, the title is sealed. The title has a person who got the title the last, and the title is with them. If one of them comes, and again, I wanna plead ignorance on the whole subject of who's coming, who's not coming. I don't have to worry about that in terms of discussing it with somebody who has a conflicting belief. It's for the in the spirit of when you invite to da'wah, come on common terms. My common terms are Khatam Nabiyin, Khatim Nabiyin are both seals and lastness of titles of prophethood.
Where is the word title? I can't find it.
A Nabi is a title. Whenever somebody is called a prophet.
My brother.
You know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
It doesn't mean titles of the prophets.
Okay.
This is ta'wil of Nassis Salim.
No, you can take the word title away. You can take the word title away. It's not a problem.
You mentioned it. You said this
take it away because you want
titles are sealed. Now let me ask you a question. Hazrat Isa.
Wait, before you proceed, I'm really.
Brother, I let you speak so much.
I know, but
you
you
have
just
to
said something
engage.
about me
It's
personally.
not monologue, it's dialogue.
It's not. It's a discussion. I'm trying to do a discussion.
So just hear me out. It's on your point. Look,
okay, cool.
Hazrat Isa Lasam was Rasulan ila Bani Israel, right?
Yes, we all know that.
So that was his title, right?
That was not his only title. He's also a Nabi of Allah. So what's your point?
Of course, he's Nabiullah, but he's Rasul to Bani Israel according to the Quran, right?
He was when he was sent to Bani Israel. He was a Rasul to
Bani Israel. So his Nabuwah that he had, was it to Bani Israel? Was it Injil that was revealed on him?
I feel like you're just digressing the conversation again. And
I'm not digressing. Everyone
okay.
When he comes, is he Rasulun ila Bani Israel?
He will be whatever Allah prophesies him to be through the prophet.
See? You know he's not Rasulun ila
I don't see
Bani
why
Israel.
I said that answer.
Now you understand the issue. You believe Isa is coming with a different nubuwah.
You're not on the subject, by the way. You're not on the subject.
The argument is just for the viewers to understand, because Ahmad said knows there's a clear-cut contradiction here. Isa's nubuwah was Rasulan ila Bani Israel. Now the titles are sealed. That means that's his title. But you believe when he comes to Ummah, he's not Rasulan ila Bani Israel. He has a different nubuwah, which is Hakam Adil under Rasulullah, following the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you just accepted that your ta'wil of Khatme Nabuwat means no one can come. Because if Isa comes, he has to be again Rasulan ila Bani Israel, because that is the title sealed for him. So your fitrah, my friend, is going against the clear-cut verse of the Quran.
First of all, I feel disrespectful because you said you're going to be on the subject and you went off the subject.
No, brother, you mentioned this subject.
No, yeah, my subject.
Brother, I can't let you mention fitrah.
Let me state my case. Can I speak, please?
Let's do 2 minutes each, brother. I'm gonna.
Okay, that works for you, brother. It's okay. You can do that. I don't even need to speak to 2 minutes. So I'll just let you know when I'm done. So you took my words of Khatam Nabiyin and Khatim Nabiyin that I explicitly said were, in my understanding, that alignment with my fitrah of somebody who was given the title of prophethood, who was made up of not Nabi by Allah. Okay, and you said that you're going to stay on the subject, and then you jumped to Rasulun ila Bani Israel. I never went to those subjects. So how were you on the subject? I don't understand. I feel like you just kind of took your own thing from what I said and you wanted to run with it. Anyhow, coming back to Khatam Nabiyin, and I want you to respond to that directly. My understanding is these are people who were chosen by Allah as Nabis, and in this verse, what I'm learning is there has happened a situation in the timeline of Islam that Allah has made a seal of that position, that title, and these people are already done and called prophets and Nabis, and nobody else is going to be called Nabis. This is my point. This is my subject. I have nothing additional to. I literally mentioned, if you can go back and see, I'm not worried about timelines, who came when, who's going to be coming back, who will not come. None of that. We're not talking about coming and going at all. We're talking about these two terms that have a variation to them, Khatam and Khatim, and talking about the term an-Nabi. So seal on prophethood, last of prophethood. That's my subject. I'm not talking about specific people coming, going, returning, none of that. So if that's the subject, When I did the word title additionally, you call it ta'wil. And then you said so many more things. And then that wasn't ta'wil. I don't understand why. So just stick to that subject of Khatam al-Nabiyyin, Khatim al-Nabiyyin. How is it wrong for me to take from that the seal of prophethood means nobody else will be given prophethood, and Khatim al-Nabiyyin, when the Prophet of Allah saying in the Quran, Allah saying through the Prophet that he is the last of prophethood, of prophets, then how is it that other people can come and be prophets?
Okay, Jazakallah. Firstly, my friend, I didn't take anyone's words out of context. You said Khatam al-Nabiyyin means that the title has been given, that's it, no one else will be given the title. The title of Hazrat Isa is Rasulan ila Bani Said. So he cannot come for the Muslims, which proves he died, unless you believe he's coming again for Bani Said, which is obviously disrespectful to Islam, according to us. Secondly, you said that Khatam al-Nabiyyin, your understanding is that Allah chose Nabis and only they are Nabis. I agree with you 100%. However, you have to remember that every Nabi was chosen by Allah already. If you read Misaqul Nabiyyin, إِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِثَاقًا, Allah took a misaq from the Anbiya, right? Allah took a misaq in Surah Al Imran, right? From all the Anbiya. So all Anbiya are already included in that. So it doesn't change our point that Hazrat Ahmad is a Nabi as well, because that misaq was taken from all of the Anbiya, even before the Prophet came. وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِثَاقَ النَّبِيِّينَ لَمَا أَتَيْتُكُم مِّن كِتَابٍ وَحِكْمَةٍ. So Hazrat Mirza Ghulam is in that as well, because he was destined to be a Nabi in the end time. So he's included in that. There's no issue yet there. Secondly, the Prophet ﷺ said, I was Khatam even before Adam was born. So anyone who was to be a Nabi is coming with this seal anyways. We don't disagree with that. Then you said that I said you did Tawil, but what I said wasn't Tawil. No, I do Tawil as well from Quran and Sunnah. There's no, contradiction. We clearly do Tawil based on Quran and Sunnah. The Prophet said a Nabi is coming in the Ummah. So based on that, we accept that the Nabi was to come in the Ummah. As for you saying you don't care who comes first or after, I end with the easy question for you. Who is the last Nabi who will walk on earth and give the message of Islam?
Who is the last Nabi who will walk on the earth?
No, who is the last Nabi who will walk on earth and give people the message of Islam?
So somebody who has a title of Nabi and is giving the message of Islam.
Yeah. Who is the last one to do that?
I mean, if Isa alayhi salam is coming back, he's still a Nabi, and he will be propagating Islam. So, I mean, to the way you're wait. To the way you're framing the question, you're kind of, again, it's a shubahat situation. You're trying to mix two things. You're trying to say, is he a Nabi, and is he being a Nabi as if, receiving revelation from Allah continuously at that same time too?
Well, here, no.
No, for me, that question is not from the Aqidah of Islam. Like, where is that question? Where is that answer coming from for you? Because for me, you can ask me any question in the guise of Islamic questions. But can you answer this question, qat'i or dalal, from the Quran or the Hadith for yourself?
Yes, I can, because the Prophet said Isa will descend. If Allahu ila Isa, and Allah will give wahi to him when he comes.
So we're fine with it, right? Then Isa alayhi salam is the last. So is that your answer?
Yes. So the last prophet to walk on earth to give the message of Islam is Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, correct?
I'm fine with that. I don't know, sorry, like for the
what
way you.
What does Khatam mean?
Khatam means the seal of prophet or the last of prophets.
Okay. Now I'm going to repeat my question. Who is the last prophet to walk on earth to give the message of Islam? Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, right?
Why are you asking this question in conjunction
because
with
last according
to brother, I'm here with you.
Last according to you means
I'm asking a question for clarification. Can I complete my question?
Yeah. What's your question for
when we're doing Khatam al-Nabiyyin and Khatim al-Nabiyyin, are we adding the clause to that about walking on the earth? We're not. So why are you asking a question from those two terms and adding the clause of walking on the earth?
I'll explain.
Sure.
I'll explain. I asked you who will be the last Nabi. I'll take away the walking. Who will be the last Nabi on earth to give the message of Islam? You said Hazrat Isa, correct?
On earth is still that. So if you're taking it back to Khatam al-Nabiyyin, There is last and sealing of the title. There is no walking on the earth. There is no on earth. There is no giving the message of Islam in that. That's all.
Okay, who is the last Nabi to give the message of Islam?
I literally said all those three things don't count when you say Khatme Nabuwat.
So
Message of Islam on earth, brother. We both agreed on that part. Don't worry about that part that we agreed upon. When you're taking it back to Khatme Nabuwat, that's, again, I'm going to assume sincerity, but for me, it's disingenuous when you take that question, somebody walked on the earth giving the message, and then you want to tie it back to Khatme Nabuwat, where all of those clauses are not there. Let me
read it, because you say Khatme.
Those clauses are in your question. Brother Razi, you invented that question. And then you took that question and you tried to merge it with Khatme Nabuwat, where those three extra clauses of walking on earth, giving the message aren't there. So that's not genuine.
Yeah, because you know why I connect them? Because a Nabi's job is to go around the world spreading Islam.
But that verse is not talking about that aspect of it. That verse is talking about.
But that's what a Nabi is. What is a Nabi?
Brother, everything entails from Nabi will happen. A Nabi will
what
eat.
Is a Nabi?
A Nabi will eat, sleep, commune with his Sahaba. I'm giving you more general. Do you understand why I'm giving you a more general level?
I don't.
Okay, let me explain that.
Anyways, Ahmed, do you have any other question? Because we're just repeating now.
No, I feel like you're feeling like you're in a corner now. I don't. With all due respect.
Oh, I'm stuck in a corner. You trapped me, brother.
Wow, okay, I can take my words back. I don't want to go on an unacademic tangent with you, brother.
No, Ahmed said I'm struggling to talk to you. You need to be easier on me.
I am sorry for those words. Can we come back to the academic discussion? I don't want to play that game with you.
Yeah, but go easy though.
Okay, inshallah.
We're raising some hard questions.
Inshallah, I promise you I'll go easy. Can I speak now? Okay,
yes.
Can I speak? Yes. So when you asked that initial question, you had to the concept of Nabi, three additional statements that you added: walking on the earth, giving away, propagating the message of Islam. Okay, and I'm not exactly quoting you. You can correct me if there was a word that I replaced and you wanted another word, but you added those three things to it. And now you want to tie it back to Khatme Nabuwat, which is an explicit verse in the Quran that is talking about the sealing of prophethood. In a variant reading, it is talking about the last of prophethood. And for that is it. Now, if you want to say who's going to be eating, drinking, walking, and all of those things, they're all within Nubuwah. Now, I said again, those specific terms, Khatme Nabuwat, are not talking about timelines, are not talking about actions, are not talking about prophecies, none of that. It's just talking about the concept of prophethood and how it has been sealed with the Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's about it. Now, when you take your questions for curiosity and ask people questions, to disingenuously tie that question back into a concept that is not talking about walking, talking, and all that, it's just talking about the prophethood title. So if you have issues with prophethood titles being given to other people, take that conversation from this verse to another verse.
Okay. Are you done, brother?
If you want to add something, you can add, and I was told.
Yeah, okay, firstly, brother, look, the title of Nabi is Nabi is someone Allah speaks when he gives the message of Islam. You believe the last Nabi to walk on earth, last Nabi to talk on earth, last Nabi to marry, last Nabi to give the message of Islam, last Nabi to get wahi, last Nabi to give the victory of Islam. All of this is Hazrat Isa. And for you, Khatam originally meant the last prophet. So according to that definition, Hazrat Isa is Khatam for you, not Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Number one, this is my opinion. You can disagree. Number two, brother, you keep saying that Khatam Nabiin doesn't mean the one to walk or talk. It means in terms of title. Khatam an-Nabiin is seal of the prophets. The prophets are insan, human beings who have the title of Nabi. But Khatam an-Nabiin doesn't mean the seal of title of prophet. But let us agree with you. This actually puts you in a corner, my friend. Because when you say Khatam an-Nabiin means the seal of the titles, Hazrat Isa is amongst an-Nabiyin. And his title is Rasulan ila Bani Israil. So that is sealed. Now it cannot come out or come in like you originally said. So because his title is Rasulan ila Bani Israil, now you are in a quagmire, my brother in humanity. Because if he's Rasulan ila Bani Israil and that's sealed, then he can only come back, or other Anbiya can come back. Anyone can come, according to your interpretation of Khatme Nabuwat, because you believe Isa will come. So anyone can come then. But they have to have that original title. So then Isa, when he comes, he's Rasulan ila Bani Israil again. He's not coming as Imamukum minkum or a Nabi from the Ummah or to spread Islam. He has to come to spread the Injil, na'udhu billah. Because you said that title is sealed. So he can't come for the Muslims anyways. But the Ahadith say this Messiah will come for Muslims. So this is a clear-cut contradiction, my friend.
May I respond? Yeah. Now, I would say everything else you said after starting from Rasul bin ila Bani Israel is, like you said initially to my response, is your opinion, because all of that does not entail. Nabi and Rasul are two titles, of course. But to say just because somebody is a Khatam Nabi and then I'm going to hold everybody else sealed, frozen in time, and nothing else can happen now, it's your ta'wil, it's your opinion. Nobody's, there's no qati dalal reason for you to believe that way. And I'm it's open for agree to disagree situation. You can say that. I don't have to necessarily point into every discrepancy there and like refute you for that. I'm okay with that. You can believe what you have to. Jazakallah khair for your time. It's Jum'ah time here. The Adhan went out. So
Brother Ahmed, really nice talking to
yeah,
you.
same here, brother.
Please feel free to join